Welcome back to The Sweet Spot. This is the second episode of Black Eye. I would also like to welcome my epic producer. How are you doing today, Phil?
Oh wow, epic. That's a lot to live up to.
Choose an E word.
No, I'll take that. That's fine.
And just to put you on the spot, I have a little question for you. Have you ever epically failed an exam? Or in fact, let's say, have you ever failed an exam really badly?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
You got to spill the beans.
It was an English exam, and I mean, there's nothing too interesting about it, but I just didn't read the text, so I don't even know why I went to the exam. And I love reading. Yeah. It was about a week earlier than I thought it was going to be, and I just decided to show up. I found out the day before there was no way I'd read enough, and I had another exam the same day, so they let me rewrite it, and I did fine the next time. I read the text, and that's all there is to it, really.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, they let me redo it. They were nice.
I mean, for us, I was thinking, why do we always say, you fail the exam really badly? Because surely if you get a low grade, that's failing it really well.
That's true.
I mean, if you're talking about an English exam, if you really want to be a pedant about it, it's a bit like people say I'm caught in really bad traffic.
Be like an accident. I had a bad accident. Was it not a good accident?
Well, and traffic. The traffic today was amazing.
Yeah,
you could say that. It was amazing. I was blocked up. It was like a freeway in China. I was blocked, for days. It was astonishingly good traffic.
You had really good constipation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Memorable. Yeah. For those of us who saw the last episode.
Right, speaking of epic fails, your eye patch just needs to come over.
Does it?
Tiny little bit.
I had a hunch it was slipping up.
Yeah.
Anyway, Black Eye, episode 2. So, as a reminder, an operation has left me semi-blind, and this is how I process my loss. Lunch at Holborn. The analyst ambles into the restaurant, sees me sitting in my dark glasses and booms, "Stevie Wonder!" I find this particularly funny because he doesn't know about the operation. We sit and chat with a mutual friend, Socrates, about the Brexit shit show and how the Greek economy isn't so bad anymore. I decide to join them for an overpriced glass of wine, wait for their news before giving them mine. When I spill the beans, the analyst, my cuddly friend from school, stands with a sigh and gives me a proper Kenyan bear hug. There is no panic or despair on his Buddha face. Both friends have no offerings of people worse off than me, but Socrates invites us to Greece in the springtime. I can't think of anywhere else more recuperative than those magical islands, the blues and whites of Thera. An hour after the restaurant, I realised that the red wine was a mistake. Usually when I come to London, I tear around the pleasure points, tasting its fantastic food and culture. But now I grind to a halt in Foyles. I feel like I'm boxing in a swamp. I slouch around in my shades on the tube, feeling like Dracula. I've noticed I lean a little to the right, as though I'm trying to conceal my injury. I am lopsided. Meanwhile, there's a text message from the electrician, my dangerous friend from Romford. "I can well imagine you're down, mate, but keep positive. The docs can do wonders nowadays, and even if they can't fix it now, medicine changes for the better each week, so fingers crossed for the near future. I felt a bit down after my op, but don't let things get to you. There's lots worse off, and always hope, dude. You're an amazing little bundle of joy and hope normally, and this won't change that. It's very early days at the Mo. Keep that stubble chiseled chin up." Day 4. Jeune homme. My go-to tune for this week is the Mozart No. 9 Concerto in E-flat. I never knew it was called Jeune homme, so now I play it in my mind and imagine a carefree, younger man with a better French accent than me. I use the music to unpick the positives for my days. For example, the house I'm staying in is under repair. When I first arrived, I looked up at all the scaffolding and felt annoyed at the workmen and the reduced light. Now that I'm a Cyclops, I value the scaffolding. I'm not familiar with the area, so as I'm coming home, I can easily identify the house from the thicket of bars and boards. Now that the initial shock of my diagnosis is no longer new, I'm not answering all the messages I had during the first few dates. I've even been tinkering with a dating app. You get much more interesting responses if you include a recent calamity in your profile. Instead of, "Hi, how's your day?" I start with, "Guess what happened to me yesterday?" Which leads to, "Oh fuck, that sucks," and the dry sparks of a conversation. Some women love a good crisis to indulge in. My rule with my eye is, if there's no news, say nothing. Yet I've developed a taste for drama, the dismay on the faces of my friends as I tell my story. They go away feeling better about their own lives, which constitutes a reciprocal offering on my part. There are plenty of mirages during this rehabilitation. For example, why does my eye glow when I go to bed? Where does that silver light come from? Are those healthy little blood vessels squiggling up and down the black chasm on my right side? I know that's no longer my right arm I see. It's an image supplied by my confused mind. Does this mean my arm no longer exists when I can't see it? Schrodinger's arm? Perhaps the lights are memories. I don't want to write down what I'm yearning for. The surgeon told me that I have a 20% chance of recovery. Is it hope which excites me, or the steroids? At least I'm sure my eye is still swollen and won't show any signs of life while it's under repair, just like the scaffolded house I'm staying in. There's little I can do about it apart from take pills, clean my eye in the morning, and do less than I usually do. I usually do some form of exercise every other day, but I have to take it easy for a while. Adverb of the week is still, as in, look at all the things you can still do. People make it sound like a great benefit, like you can still get around. You can still function as a valuable member of society, etc., etc. The only thing I'm categorically not allowed to do is fly a plane. Shucks. Phil, have you ever wanted to fly a plane?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
You've probably done it, haven't you? Knowing your life, you've probably done it.
Actually, wait, no, I take that back. No, there's nothing fun about flying planes.
Really?
You wouldn't miss it. There's nothing great about it.
Oh, so. you're just being epic again, aren't you? Yeah.
Who wants to fly a plane?
Come on. I'll have to think of a new adjective for you.
Do birds have to walk if they lose an eye?
It's a good point. But apparently there is the law that cyclopses can't fly.
Same with colorblindness, isn't it?
I think it is. Actually, I mean, my
Maybe
brother.
it's a form of colorblindness.
My brother wanted to join the Air Force, and I think his vision counted against him because he had bad vision, myopia.
If the land appears blue to you, it could be a bit perilous.
I don't think he was colorblind. He just had.
Oh, we're all clear.
Yeah. There's a very bad joke.
I don't know why. I guess it would be your field of view would be diminished. That's probably what it is.
What with the colorblind?
No, if you're missing an eye, flying a plane is the field of view.
I can totally accept it. You know.
What's the reasoning behind this? Because you're limited.
It must be.
Field of view.
I mean, I don't think I'd want to play. I'd want to fly in a plane, and you get the intercom voice saying, "Yes, we're just about to take off. Incidentally, we're going with one eye today." You know. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I'd be all that happy with that.
Yeah, no, I suppose if you're greeting everybody on board, you walk with a.
So if I'm the only pilot, maybe it'll be all right. I don't know. We could check it out. Don't they give comments on these podcasts? I'm
Yes,
sure
you will,
there's
yeah.
going to be a comment from a piratical pilot out there who's going to come back to
Oh
us.
yeah, that's. In fact, you should do stuff like this just to get those comments, right?
Absolutely.
Leave things unresolved, pronounce words wrong.
What is it?
People love to
Comment
correct
bait. Comment
Of course,
bait.
yeah. If you say everything correct, no one's going to comment. But if
You're right.
you instead of saying the word watermelon, if you say watermelon,
Damn
you'll
it.
get everybody in the comments, and they won't
Right.
even look at the other comments to see that other people have corrected you already.
These are definitely words of wisdom here, because I need to screw up more.
You do.
Well, I'll do what I can.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to crack on. Day 5. Soft tissues. I've realised that sounds a bit sort of. Is it me, or does that sound a bit not what it's describing?
Soft tissues?
Yeah, I mean that could be a lot of things, or is that just me?
I don't know. I've never had a problem.
You've never had a problem with soft tissues, all right?
Okay.
No, God,
Put it on my lap.
I so walked into that one. The door was open. All right. Yeah, I'm going to see. You can keep it in if you want. I'm going to start again. Day 5. Soft tissues. My uncle's email is my only source of hope so far. Hi, Pete. Obviously, we have been much concerned about your op and complications, and serious commiserations from us all. Although I'm feeling very optimistic for reasons I'll happily explain in about 6 weeks' time. I don't want to be mysterious, but 6 weeks is a rough guide to how long it takes soft tissue to heal. I'll reveal in the meantime only that tissue healing time and rank faith or superstition have nothing to do with my optimism. Just watch this space. I will explain. Promise. Though your side of the bargain is to recover completely and brilliantly well, say before next year, which is a mere 6 weeks away. Make it happen, kid. We're all counting on it, and surely with every justification. Your mum is amazed by your spirit, and that's plenty good enough for us and me. I know you're being very well looked after right now. Give in and enjoy it is my best advice on that score. So give it time and generous spirit, and please feel much sympathy, indelible hope, and love from us all, meantime. Day 6. Good luck. Good luck, says the designer, as I leave the house for my surgeon's follow-up appointment. Fuck luck, I say. I spend my ride on the underground reflecting on mathematics and probability. Very clearly, all of the good lucks I was given before my procedure and the Lucky Luke t-shirt I wore in hospital didn't have much influence on the outcome. Good luck is an attempt to control the uncontrollable. The plane will crash no matter how many times I kiss the fuselage before takeoff. So, can I brighten my situation by working out the odds of me living on as happily and as comfortably as I have, as opposed to millions of other people? And should I cherish the monstrous odds against my existence as exactly me in the first place? Would it help? In truth, I'm allergic to numbers. I grow tense and confused when I have to work something out using them. I'm pretty sure I'm dyscalculic, which sounds like being drunk on algebra. Like millions of number phobes, I had to retake my maths GCSEs. Most of my friends are better at numbers than me. The vet, my friend in Norway, tells me to remember that, quote, the odds of you getting your vision back are 5 times greater than the odds of losing it in the first place. 20% to 4%. Then I remember that the last time I got 4% was in a statistics exam. I tried to make a case for having passed, as 4% is statistically significant. The examiners didn't buy it. Before my consultation, I have a meeting with the illustrator in a cafe in St. Pancras. She's a bright, compact woman with a lovely open face and a gift for meandering storylines. I relish her cheerful directness. Once I tell her about my operation, she tells me about how a friend of hers got thrown from a horse and ended up paralyzed from the collarbone to the ankles. We drink for a moment in silence. Losing an eye is nothing compared to paralysis. Part of my campaign to soldier on regardless is pushing on with our writing project. I've written a trilogy of adventure books, and the illustrator has created 3 beautifully vivid covers. She's helping promote our project. It feels good to scheme for the future, to talk about things unassociated with vision. After our meeting, I battle the wind and rain to find a Vietnamese cafe near King's Cross. I can't understand why there aren't more Vietnamese places in London. A bowl of pho is a great antidote to the English winter. As I sit inhaling the aromatic steam, I think about my appointment with the surgeon. I've prepared a list of obvious questions about gradual return of sight. Will my eye shrivel up and die? Right now, it's sulking at the rim of its socket, out of sync with its healthy companion. Will its mobility return? Pho soup. It's spelt P-H-O. It looks like pho, but I'm quite pretentious and I like to pronounce it the way they do, the way Vietnamese people do. So pho soup, wonderful in winter. I stare into the steam with my working eye and feel like Humphrey Bogart, sobbing in his bar in Casablanca, flashing back to how his dismal story started. California, 8 years earlier. Sometimes falling on snow is fun. You lie there, breathless and ridiculous, laughing up at the sky. Not this time. This was hard, fast and violent. My skis buckling at weird angles, slamming me headfirst onto the black slope. I spend a minute panting on the ice, testing my limbs, making sure they're all there. One thing's for sure, I'm thinking. This is the last time I ski without a helmet on. My cavalier days are over. As I sit about recovering my poles, my first thought is about how lucky I am. As I gingerly ski down to the lifts to rent a helmet, I remember the story of an actress who developed a headache hours after a fall and died from brain injuries. So I go and get a CT scan and get told nothing was wrong. Huge relief. I dodged the bullet. The next morning, I'm preparing to go out for my last day on the slopes when I get a call. It's a doctor from the clinic. Following a routine second scan, he found something. I go cold. Something? It's an incidental finding, says the nice young doctor, unrelated to the fall. There's a mass behind your right eye. A mass? I say. What? Like a tumour? That's one word for it, says the nice young doctor. I recommend you get an MRI. I leave the slopes early. The next day I manage to get an MRI in San Francisco and spend the best part of a week trying not to think about words like malignant and cancer. After a week of worried waiting, I'm teaching English to a class of Japanese, Russians and South Americans when I get the phone call. I excuse myself, then come back into the classroom, write the word benign on the board and slump into a chair. I need a drink. The mass, this hemangioma, has probably been with me since I was born. Perhaps it was there to begin with, and I formed around it. Either way, knowing it's there feels like a blessing. There's a catch though. Should the mass start growing and I don't remove it, it will occlude my vision and, as a grand finale, push my eye out of its socket. So the ski fall was a great beacon of good fortune, a blessing in disguise. Apparently, over the next 8 years, I had biannual MRIs just to check on the size of the mass. It didn't increase in size. I went to the eye hospital in London for regular checks, and nothing abnormal was observed. I remember one particular check when I encountered the surgeon, a tall and cheerful expert on ocular affairs. He was shepherding some medical students around me as he administered tests and peppered my examination with questions like, "What does this mean? Possible cause?" I gave my own instinctive diagnosis to something, and he told the students, "You see, you should always ask the patient." I was happy with having MRIs every year or so, as both my father, a retired radiologist, and the surgeon himself told me the procedure to remove the hemangioma would be invasive. So, only do it if you absolutely have to. The summer before the procedure, I started to develop mild symptoms. Perceptive members of my family, mother, noticed my right eye was bulging slightly and my squint was getting worse. I had periods of laziness, particularly when driving in bright sunlight. My right eye was struggling to keep up with my left. My glasses prescription hadn't changed, and though the dimensions of the mass remained the same, it could have increased in density or changed in a way the MRI couldn't pick up. Or, Phil, could have been a self-fulfilling prophecy.
You think so?
Because if I hadn't known about it, would I have noticed?
That's the
This is the real question behind it. It's something I wonder. If I hadn't had the accident, would I have even noticed any of this?
I think that thought is one that would drive you crazy.
It's not helpful. It's not a helpful thought.
Would it help?
No,
would it help?
It's
I think
definitely
that's the thing that you have to, because you go. I had a girl today whom you met, and she was messaged by somebody she doesn't particularly like, and they just simply said hi. And she, for the next hour, you could see her thinking, what if he wants to talk about this, and what if he wants to talk about that, and what if, and what if, and what if, and she drove herself crazy with this whole thing, right?
What ifs? Yeah.
Exactly,
I mean, that
exactly.
point.
So would it help? Would it help?
Yeah,
right?
No, we're right. And we're gonna find out later, a later episode, where would it help comes from. So you're all on the edge of your seats for that one. I can tell. Yeah. Yes. You're probably right. A visit to the surgeon in London confirmed the bulge in my eye, and when I mentioned my mild symptoms, he reasoned that they were probably caused by the hemangioma occluding the optic nerve. There was some ophthalmological vocabulary I didn't understand, but one conclusion was clear enough. My symptoms would not get better. For sure, they would get worse. For any big decision, I write out pros and cons on a piece of paper, and I quickly decided this was a no-brainer. There was no advantage to waiting until I was older. The surgeon would soon retire from professional practice, and he had availability in a month. So, go for it. Pre-surgery. I'm in a taxi heading to the surgery. It's a beautiful blue autumn day, and the air is fresh and sweet after the rain. I'm feeling good because I've managed to avoid getting a cold, which would have made the general anaesthetic impossible. As the hours rolled by before the operation, and I was trying to distract myself from my fears of general anaesthesia, I looked back on a set of correspondence I'd had with the surgeon. I'd foolishly searched YouTube for my procedure and come up with a grisly video with snipped eyelids, blood and broken bone, set to sentimental lift music. I wrote to the surgeon. I found this video on YouTube and wondered if the procedure for my operation would be similar. My guess is that my mass is smaller than this one. Best regards, Peter. Dear Mr. Flynn, many thanks for highlighting this video. While this would have been the procedure undertaken about 35 years ago, when I was learning from my mentor, I have not needed to remove the bone or detach the extraocular muscles from the globe for about the last 30 years or so. It is a very dated technique posted by an unknown colleague with obviously limited experience and very much working to techniques in the old books. Your lesion is about the same size and should be removable without anywhere near the degree of morbidity shown. Best wishes. I replied, I'm very grateful for your comments on the YouTube video. On reflection, watching it wasn't ideal preparation for the procedure, and your letter eased my mind. Best wishes, Peter. P.S. My chief concern was the mawkish music in the YouTube video. It's lovely to someone laughing. For the removal of my hemangioma, can I request Marriage of Figaro? He writes back, You're in luck. I only allow certain music in theatre, and Marriage of Figaro is a frequent visitor. Best wishes. My father, ex-radiologist, chipped in. Speaking of music during surgery, one of the best surgeons I knew provided his own music in a way. He was entirely silent until a problem developed. He then began to hum a tune, and the surrounding staff abruptly changed from easygoing to absolute attention. When I mentioned this to him, he said he'd had no realization. Love, Pops. Followed by my big brother, who sometimes appears eager to take care of my inheritance should I accidentally die. He wrote, I wonder if I can come watch. Help maybe. Hold a tool. Be in charge of anesthetic. You are my only brother, and I do so want to be of service. Make sure you use a black marker to draw an arrow pointing at the correct eye before you go in. I'm only half joking. Love, bro. Ends episode 2. Then I remember that the last time I got 4% was in a statistics. It's a hell of a word to pronounce, Phil. Statistics. It's just like a little minefield of a word.
What percentage of people do you think have trouble pronouncing that word?
I would say more than 4%. Yeah. There was some ophthalmology. Oh, Christ, this is a hard word. Ophthalmology. Should I say
you should shoot your scriptwriter.
What's that?
You should shoot your scriptwriter.
Yeah, totally. How the hell do I describe this? Ophthalmological. Ophthalmological. I'm going to have to break it into 2 words.
Okay.
Let's try it from the top. Oh, right.